Hi friends, it's Danielle here. I'm here today to show you how I make some scrappy flowers, and I don't really know who to credit this idea to. I think the first person I saw with this base idea was Bonnie and Clive. If you want to look them up on YouTube, she basically just did some circles, and I don't fully remember. I should have looked at her video before I came on, but she basically used circles of scrap fabrics and made these little scrappy flowers. So I kind of took that idea and um, kind of extrapolated on it. I'm sure other people have done similar things, and I'm not claiming any of these to be my original ideas. I just don't know who exactly to credit any of these things to, because I don't remember what I kind of just came up with and what was inspired by someone else. So I do know, so there are different types that I've used and made, and I want to kind of show you a few of the ideas. So basically you can use any kind of scrap fabrics, or if you want to make something specific in a specific theme, you don't have to use scraps. You can cut little pieces from bigger pieces of fabric, of course. But they're basically scrappy flowers, I call them, because they look scrappy and they require little pieces of fabric. So anyhow, the first one I wanted to mention, I do know who to credit these to, and that's Karla Frizelle. She's on YouTube if you want to check her out. I'm sure you guys probably already know who she is, but she makes these little scrappy flowers with strips of fabric, and then she kind of twists them and rolls them around into this little rose shape, and then glues them onto a piece of scrap fabric, and then you just kind of trim them out, trim the excess off here all the way around, and then you can use them how you like. They can get a little bit thick if you wind them really tight and if you use thicker fabric, but basically then you just glue them down onto your book cover or your page or whatever you want to use them on. So that's one idea. If you want to know, I'm not going to duplicate her tutorial. If you want to know how to make those, you can go to her channel and she has a really good tutorial on it. So so back to the ones that I've kind of been making. You can use different fabrics. I like using the quilt tops, just because I like how they look, kind of, especially for like farmhouse journals, farm themed journals, that kind of thing, or even sewing, quilting, like granny chic type style. But these I've made with vintage sheets, and then this is like a little bit of blue jean material in the back here. So, and then this one I just cut apart a shirt and used part of it in the center. So you can use them, you can do different things with them or use different materials. Okay, so let's get into making some of the flowers. So normally if you look here, I will make them, and there's different ways. I always stitch them. There's different ways. So this is just a single circle. It's holding it all together. And this is like a cross, and then like some kind of scribbly type swirls in the middle there. So I haven't figured out how to set my camera up to my sewing machine to be able to show you how to sew. So I'm just going to use some glue, and then after I'm done with the video, I'll just sew them. But if you want me to show you the sewing part, just leave me a comment and I will figure out how to set up my machine and show you another flower video, because I make these a lot. They're a really good project. If you are, especially if you're a journal maker, where you make a lot of journals, if you get stumped on something, you can just sit down with a pile of fabric and cut away and make these little guys to use for a later time. So they're a good busy hands project. Okay, so for the first one we'll make, I've made this one and I haven't sewn it yet, so I just took some of the circles. So I didn't think you guys wanted to watch me hand cut a bunch of circles, so they don't need to be perfect. In fact, they look shabbier if you don't make them perfect. But you just cut some fabric, some circles of different sizes. One tip I have is, if it's kind of common sense when you think about it, but if there's a fabric you don't like as well, you want to use the bigger, make that into bigger circles so that the smaller circles will show more. And you'll kind of see what I mean when I get started. So we just kind of grab, and you can color coordinate them or make them more eclectic, whatever you want to do. So like this one, I need to trim this one down a little bit if I want to use this one, or it'll completely cover up the one behind it. So, and this is pretty tedious and super messy, so just know that kind of going into it. And then you can do as many layers as you want, or as few of layers as you want. This one will be smaller. Kind of want something a little more contrasting for the center one. So that would probably be this one. Let's cut this one smaller too. That's the only disadvantage with cutting the circles ahead of time, is that you might waste a little bit of extra fabric, but it's just a tiny little amount. So then, you know, what you could do is, you could either, let me move these out of the way. If you wanted to, if you're sitting next to your sewing machine, you're going to sew these right away, you would just put these under your sewing, you know, put the stack under your sewing machine and just kind of circle or do a cross to connect them. And you could, if you want it to be double-sided, you could either take like another piece of your material and just back it, so that if it were going to show on the other side of a page, let me see if I have something close by that I can show you. So like if you were going to put it on as a tab, let's say, you would want something nice on the other side. So you would want to back it that way before you sewed it. And you can always just use, like, this is some ticking fabric. You could just cut a little circle of that off. And actually this type heavier material would make it a little sturdier if that's what you want. It will also add more bulk, but it'll make it sturdier. And then you can kind of put these on the top of, this would be super busy, this tag, but you can put them as a tag topper, or like I said, a tab on the side of a page, a cover on the cover. Let's see, like, let's say I was gonna do this cover, and then you could just kind of stick it here, you know, different things, different sizes. You just kind of have to play with it and try it out. Anything you can imagine using them for. So back to this one. So let's say I don't want this on the back. You could either, so I'm just going to take this Fabri-Tac, or 3-in-1, and I'm just going to put like a little dot. And this is what I would do if I weren't going to sew them right away. So if I wanted to make a batch and sew them later, I would just stick little tiny bits of glue just to hold them, together. And if you don't have a sewing machine, you can just get a needle and thread and just really quickly stitch through that. Just make a little cross or something if you don't have a sewing machine. These are really easy to hand sew. There we go. And it's not perfect. It's definitely wobbly. And then after you, what did I do with my, here. After you, like, let's say this was sewn, or if you were hand sewing it, you could also add a button. Let's see if you can see that. You can add a button to the middle and then stitch through it. Or you could do where the thread is sticking out the sides. But this would add bulk, so just kind of you know, all those things you keep in mind when you're making a journal. And then after you sew it, so let's see, find one similar. So after you sew, let's use this one. After you sew it together, what I do, if you want it more shabby looking, I just take it like this and I crinkle it up, smush it in balls, and then open it up and see how much shabbier it makes it look. Makes it look more messy, shabby, that kind of thing. So that's what I would do to make it more shabby. So that is that one. Let me see if I wanted to say anything else about the circle flowers. I don't think so. So then another option would be this one. And this one is quite a bit more tedious, but I'll show you how to do it. It's kind of like a little pinwheel. And this one, you know, I would probably want to take some of my, let me just do it. My ticking fabric here, or like canvas fabric, or anything that's like a little bit thicker than regular cotton. And this is probably too small, but you'll get the idea. Just kind of back it to give it a little more stability. So I'll just go ahead and do that. And then when you sew it, it will just stick together. So let's make one of those. So what I did is I cut some strips, just random strips of fabric. And what we're gonna do, so you can do it one of two ways. Let's see, let's do it this. Well, let's just do it the way I did it originally. Okay, so I just take the strips and I just start laying them like this. And I'm choosing not to really think about it too much. I mean, I don't want to put the same fabric next to the same fabric, but if you want to coordinate, just all you have to do is pick your fabrics that coordinate ahead of time, and then you don't really have to think about it as you're doing it. I guess these kind of coordinate. And then, so now I've made it like around in a circle, and so I'll just take them and kind of fill in the gaps. And it looks really weird and wonky right now. And this one is going to create more scraps, but I will show you in another video what you can do with those scraps. Because like with these quilt pieces, I don't want to waste anything. And that's a little bit bulky there, but let's see what's going on. Whoops. Yeah, that's a little bulky. I don't like that. So let's go ahead and glue this layer down. I'm just sticking some glue under here so it doesn't move on me. And then we'll go ahead and add some more. I hope this isn't boring you guys. This is just kind of my process of making these, so I think that's what you guys wanted to see. Okay. And then what we do is we take some of our circles from before, and let's try to find something contrasting a little bit. And we just stick that on there. There's probably enough glue on there. Nope. And let's see, let's try this one. Cut it a little bit smaller. Hopefully I'm in frame. Okay. And just stick some more. That one I had backwards. No, I didn't. Oh, goodness. Let's just scrap that one. Sorry, guys, it's late. I'm starting to get a little bit tired. And, oh, that's not contrasting enough. Let's try this one. And then maybe, yeah, that's good. Okay, so now we have this really wonky looking thing. And what we're gonna do is come in here and we're just gonna kind of start trimming it down. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. And we're just trimming it into a little circle shape. Okay, so we have this. Now what I do is I come in and kind of just round the little square corners, just to give it a little more circular appearance. Not being perfect at all, just kind of snipping the sharp edges. And then I just kind of look and see, and you know, that's pretty good for me. It looks pretty scrappy. And so now let's see, we move this mess out of the, so now we're left with these scraps. And I want to point this out because I want to show you guys. Initially I felt like this method wasted a lot of fabric, but then I end up using these, and I know it seems really like crazy that I would come back and use these teeny tiny little pieces, but they actually come in handy. So in the next video or next few videos, I'll show you what we can do with these. And then, so now I have this, kind of move all these things out of the way. And then I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to choose to back this one. You don't have to if you're going to put it flat on something and you don't want to add bulk. But I'm going to just cut out a circle here, again with the ticking fabric. Okay, I have a rough circle here. And I'm just gonna plop some glue on the back here. Woo, that's a lot. And kind of somewhat center it. And now it's much more sturdy. And then I would come back in and sew it. So again, either across or the ziggy-zaggy is what I kind of like, the scribbly center. And you can trim it up a little bit more, like this side. You know, it just depends on how you, how particular you really want to get with it. But, and then you have another little scrappy flower. And then again, if you want to, after you sew it, you can scrunch it up again and make it shabbier. Let me see if I have one. Like this one, I did that method, and then I just took it and balled it up. And it makes it even shabbier. So it's kind of a fun thing there. Okay, so I'll show you one more version. And let me see, I think I did an example. Yeah, so this was an example that I haven't sewn yet, but an example of this version that I did. It's a little bit faster, a little less tedious. And what I did is I just took some random shaped scraps, a little bit bigger than the ones we used last time. Like this is the size from this one that we made, and this flower has this type of size of scraps, so they're a little bit bigger. And I'm just gonna take my scraps and just lay them, make sure I'm in frame, lay them out here kind of haphazardly. I think we need some pink in there, but not next to that one. I don't like this. See, it's like I say random, but then I end up overthinking it. Basically, you're just trying to layer in a similar way, but different, your scrap pieces. Again, putting the ones you don't like as well in the back. And the ones you like better in the front. I don't think I've used this one yet. Okay, so we got this little pile that I overthought, so it's not just quite as I would want it, but that's what you get when you're doing a YouTube video, I guess. So I've just kind of piled them, tried to randomly pile them. And I'm just gonna stick some glue down here because, again, I'm not at my sewing machine. If I were, I would just grab the pile and stick it under my machine and make a circle. Even if I just went like this, and then I could add my circle later. My fabric circle on top. Okay, I think all of the pieces are stuck together now. And now I'm going to come in and let's see if I have any circles left. Yep. So let's just use this one. That's big. And maybe this one. And I'm just kind of trying to imagine when I trim this, where I will want the center. Okay, so now this is what we have, another glob of fabric. And then we just come in with the scissors again and roughly cut into a circle. Okay, so we have that. So it's already looking better. And then again, you want to stitch, or you can back it. So I can make it back. I'm just going to use this one. It's just basically, in this instance, I'm just doing the back to create a little bit more stability because I'm not sewing it right now. So, and there we have another little flower. And then, oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is you can also, like if you make enough different sizes, you can also layer them. So I don't know how this, like let's just say I'm just grabbing one of these, but you can layer them on top of each other too to create more dimension. So, I mean, that doesn't go at all really. But okay, so that looks better. And then I could come in and kind of like trim this a little bit more. And then I have a pretty layered, especially if I took that one and did the little scrunching thing, the back one after it was sewn, it would look pretty dimensional. They're really cool looking. And if you wanted another dimension, then you just take a button and stick it in the middle there, like if you're going to put it on a cover or something. So I hope that this helped when a few of you requested me to show you what I do for these scrappy flowers, and I hope that this video helped and you were able to follow along. I'm still learning how to communicate what's in my mind to you guys, so let me know what you thought of the video and if there's anything else you want to see. And if you try this, let me know what you think. I'm here to help if you need any help. And I will see you in the next video. One of the videos soon, I will use these scraps that we have left over, and I'll show you something else you can use with even smaller pieces. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.